everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the Voices of Change. Good evening. My name is Janice, and I'll be your host this evening. Today, during our Real Talk segment, we will discuss online dating. A lot of you are doing the online dating. It's very popular, and we want to talk about the pros and cons of it. My special guest to discuss online dating will be Dr. Khalid Scott. A big shout out to our sponsors, GV Entertainment out of Chicago, Oda Enterprises out of Indianapolis. For today, it's going to be from Jeremiah 29:11. And for those of you that listen weekly, I've been doing this scripture for the past couple weeks, and I'm going to do it until he reveals his plans to me. And it goes, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So I'm waiting. We're going to be right back after a quick break with the News You Can Use segment. This is the Voices of Change, only on Intellectual Radio. Are you ready? For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio, and this is the News You Can Use segment. A big congratulations out to the 2019 Miss Universe, Nia Franklin out of New York, and we love to hear that good news. On another note, the Dallas police officer was charged on Sunday with manslaughter in the fatal shooting of a neighbor who authorities said was shot by the officer when she walked into an apartment she thought was her own and mistook the man living there for an intruder. The bizarre sequence of events unfolded after the police officer, Amber Geiger, 30 years old, had just completed a shift late on Thursday and was still in uniform as she returned to an apartment she erroneously believed was hers, according to police. Inside, she encountered the apartment's rightful occupant, 26-year-old Botham Shem Jean, leading her to fire her weapon at him before she called emergency 911 for assistance. The deadly confrontation immediately took on racial overtones. Geiger is white, and Jean, whose family is from the Caribbean, is black. The story also has so many holes in it. I'm going to follow this one and hopefully find out the truth. Recently, Amber, the person who shot Mr. Jean, had the nerve to tell authorities that she issued a verbal command that Mr. Jean ignored just prior to her shooting him to death in his own apartment. So I guess in her little mind that gave her a reason to shoot him in his own apartment on a different floor, and the face of the apartment looked different. The rug on the apartment was bright red. This story, I just have to follow this one. Condolences to the family of Bill Daly, the affable TV actor who starred as Major Roger Healy in I Dream of Jeannie, as well as the Bob Newhart Show. He died on September 4th in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he was 91 years old. New York Fashion Week saw a bit of drama on Friday night at the Harper Bazaar's Icons Party at the Plaza Hotel in New York City, when long-brewing tensions between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj finally boiled over. There are conflicting reports on whether the target of Cardi's anger was Nicki Minaj herself or Entourage member Ra Ali, but the incident was reportedly instigated by comments made about Cardi B's infant daughter culture and her mothering skills. Well, I guess last time I checked, those were fighting words, and needless to say, they got into a brawl, and Cardi threw her shoe. Mark Miller was preparing to embark on a headlining cross-country tour when he died on September 7th of a suspected overdose. He was 26. His continual progress in many facets in music as a mentor and as a person struggling with addiction makes his death all the more crushing. Despite his age, Miller was also notably big-hearted. Throughout his career, he lifted up those around him. He took Chance the Rapper on tour when the Chicago MC was just getting started and mentored an entire younger generation. Politically, he was a vocal supporter of Black Lives Matter and spoke openly about white privilege. Since his death, remembrances have been pouring in about his quiet generosity. Miller fought a continuous battle with addiction and destructive habits. Following his public breakup with pop star Ariana Grande, he drove his car into a pole and was arrested on charges of driving under the influence. Another one, gone too soon. Kenitra Johnson has alleged that Mike Irwin, a Baton Rouge State District Court judge, directed a racial slur toward her at a popular local eatery. She filed a complaint on Monday against the judge. The Baton Rouge judge, Mike Irwin, was banned from the local eatery after the allegation. In the interview, Johnson said she was sharing a stool with a regular at Sammy's while waiting for a table. When she said, Judge Irwin told the man, "You never give up your seat to a nigger." Then he told the man, "You should have made her get her fat nigger butt up." I'll just say butt. Johnson said in the video taped in the parking lot in front of Sammy's Grill. I just want to follow this also to find what happened. Is it going to end up being a he say, she say? Are they going to take any action? Okay, they banned the judge from the diner temporarily, but I really wonder what's going to happen with this. Another disturbing story that reeks of racism. Cartoonist defends his depiction of Serena Williams. It had nothing to do with race. I hope most of you have seen that picture, that cartoon of Serena. It looked monstrous. She was huge. I mean, she was oversized. She had huge bulging lips, a huge long thick tongue, her eyes. It almost looked like something. Mark Knight, the Australian cartoonist who came under fire for his depiction of Serena Williams as a racist stereotype, has responded to the outrage. He insists that his cartoon was not about race, but about Williams' behavior during her confrontation with umpire Carlos Ramos during the U.S. Open final. There's nothing inaccurate in the cartoon, but I'm sorry it's been taken by social media and distorted so much, he said. The cartoon, he said, is about Serena. It was about her poor behavior. It had nothing to do with race. Of course, one might ask if the cartoon had nothing to do with race, why he felt the need to draw Williams in a way that recalls the cartoons of Jack Johnson or cartoons of the Jim Crow South. Knight dismissed the criticism that his cartoon mimicked racist cartoons of the past and defended his extremely exaggerated depiction of Serena's features. If you haven't seen it, please Google it. He said, "People said I'm a racist because I drew Serena as an African American woman," Knight explained. "I drew her as this powerful figure, which she is. She's strongly built. They say I'm racist because I drew Naomi Osaka in the background with bouncing blonde hair. Well, she does have her hair dyed blonde." Jeez. An 18-year-old Wisconsin man was detained by police officers, handcuffed, and placed in a squad car for questioning after authorities were alerted to a black man robbing two older white women from the back seat of the white woman's car. He was coming home from church with his grandmother and her friend. I heard about that story and I said, wow, okay, so they were coming home from church. Two ladies were in the front driving. He was in the back seat. Someone saw them and called the police, and I was trying to figure out who called him. So I wanted to do a deep dive and find out who called. Guess who called? The officer was flagged down by an African American couple. The do-gooders pointed to a blue Lexus with a black man riding in the back seat while two older women were riding in the front. According to the couple, it was obvious that someone was either filming a reverse remake of Driving Miss Daisy or there was a robbery in progress. London-based newspaper The Times reports that the umpires, now along with this cartoon, now the umpires have vowed to band together against Serena Williams for taking Carlos Ramos to task during the U.S. Open finals after he accused the tennis phenom of cheating. Now, the umpires reportedly plan to boycott the Williams' future matches. Ramos slapped Williams with several penalties, with accompanying fines totaling $17,000 after she asserted herself and challenged the umpire for saying she was being coached during the game. Williams shot back and called him a liar and a thief. It was enough to get under his thin skin, and some say it enabled newcomer Naomi Osaka to secure her first U.S. Open win against her idol. The list of men who have challenged umpires on the tennis court is a long one. So the question remains, Why was Serena Williams slapped with a $17,000 fine for standing up for herself during the U.S. Open finals this past weekend? Male tennis pro James Blake and Andy Roddick called bullcrap on the umpire Carlos Ramos, who hit Williams with the hefty fines after the heated conversation in which he blamed her for cheating. Blake and Roddick said it was a clear cut case of bias by Ramos. I will admit I have said worse and not gotten penalized. And I've also been given a soft warning by the ump where they'll tell you to knock it off or I'll have to give you a violation. He should have at least given her that courtesy. Sad to mark a well played final that way, Blake tweeted. So even they admitted typically they had run ins with him, words were exchanged. Typically they'd either one or two things, either ignore it or give a soft warning. Serena wasn't given any such soft warning. In fact, the only thing she did, she basically called him a liar. He said, okay, so you're coaching. So they interviewed her coach, and her coach said, yeah, I was in the stands coaching like so many coaches do during matches all the time. But Serena never looked at me. So when she was challenged, Serena said she didn't cheat. She never looked at her coach. She wasn't coached, and she didn't cheat. And now the umpires are collectively trying to get together and mess with her career. This I have a problem with. A female Chicago police officer fatally shot herself this morning, at the Calumet District Police Station, marking the third suicide of a Chicago police officer in the past 3 months. The identity of the 54-year-old female officer who died Wednesday has not yet been released. Police said she was scheduled to report for duty and was found inside her personal vehicle in the parking lot of the police station. In difficult times, we all have periods of despair and weakness. So reach out to someone today, someone you haven't talked to, someone you've been thinking about. Give them a call. Sometimes a call or a touch can make a difference. And that's the news you can use only on Intellectual Radio's Voices of Change. We're going to be right back momentarily after a quick break, and I'm going to bring back in my online guest, Mr. Scott. So stay tuned and tell a friend to tune in. those of you just tuning in, I'm glad to have you here on the Voices of Change. I have my friend, the expert in the field of sociology, the expert in the field of online dating. Help me welcome who I affectionately call Dr. Khalid Scott. Good evening.
Thanks, Janice, for having me. I appreciate it.
And I need the audience out there to let me know if it's okay, if the audio's okay, if you can hear and see him. I know you can see him because I can see him. Let's get this conversation going. So we're going to talk about online dating. And I'm going to put it in a historical context with online dating because there's a lot of things about online dating that I was unaware of and found out after doing, a little research on it. The historical context was it really actually started way before 1965, but we're going to start with 1965 because in 1965, the technology part of it came in when a team of Harvard undergrads created Operation Match, which was the world's first computer dating service. And for $3, that was a lot of money in 1965, users could answer questions and receive a list of potential matches, a process that's still used by many dating sites. And then it goes on through the 1990s, 2000, 2010. Khalid, I want to ask you, what has changed so differently? Why has the landscape changed so differently where now I'd be more apt to go online than to have a friend introduce me to somebody?
Well, what I think has happened is we have drank the Kool-Aid that's been served out here now, that you have too much to do. That why not make everything microwavable, meaning quick, fast, in a hurry, to include finding a good person to be in a relationship with. And in my honest and humble opinion, Janice, is that anything you do that has a quick fix with it won't last. You know, a relationship, like anything else in the world, has to be nurtured, and it has to be an investment in that relationship, and it has to be a time frame where you get to know the person and you all grow as two individuals and then leading into being a couple. And what I suspect and what I see and have observed from online dating, it takes some of the important links in the process of building a relationship, even with dating and going through the courting season. For instance, I hear a lot of guys I know who do online dating, and it used to be that a first date was when you really wanted to make a good impression on the lady that you were taking out. So now I hear men saying that, man, you know what? I don't know if it's going to work out between her. I met her online. I don't even know if she's attractive in person. So what I do is to save money and time and possible, loss of energy. I set up dates at coffee houses such as Starbucks. Okay. The young lady comes and we meet up at Starbucks. It's a $4, $5 coffee. If I like her, good, we'll go to the next level. If I don't, I just wasted $5.
But
You
Khalid,
know,
wouldn't the next level be going on a formal date other than a coffee shop?
I would think so, because back in my day, back in when I was in my 20s and 30s and the 90s and early 2000s, I looked forward to picking up a young lady. Before I even went and picked her up, I went to the car wash.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the
Mm-hmm.
gym. I had a new outfit, got the gym shoes or the shoes polished. It was the anticipation of meeting this young woman and the possibilities. Now I've learned everything about her by on my cell phone. So it's nothing to the imagination. Then I meet you and I'm already setting the tone of, well, this might work, this may not work, and I'm only spending $5 at Starbucks.
So you would actually you think that internet dating kind of takes the getting to know part out, the face to face getting to know part out of it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because again, remember when you used to go on initial, even before you went on the first date, you would be on the phone with that person for like up to 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
getting to know them. You didn't know anything but other than what somebody might have told you if they introduced you, or if you somehow met at the supermarket or at the laundromat. But now I can read your profile of what you wanted to put on there. You know, the mask you wore. I see some pictures of you, and then voila, I think I know your history. You know, and so then, and not only am I dating you, I'm meeting other women online. You know, so my ego is inflated. You know, I got about 7 Starbucks dates lined up this week for each day. So I don't put the work that I normally would if I met you more organically.
Hmm. So, needless to say, tell me how you really feel about online dating.
Yeah.
You it doesn't sound like you're an advocate of it.
No, I'm not. And I have like some personal stories behind it to include, right after I got divorced, Janice, my ex-wife met a man on a dating site, and that man eventually mentally abused my daughter, you know, and I wonder, and I always wonder if my ex-wife, which was fine that she moved on, but if she would have met a man more natural, I don't know, 50-50, that maybe he would have really got to know her, understood the relationship that she had with our daughter, understood what my relationship was with my daughter, and understood that this is still a family unit. You're dating my ex wife, but not only do you have to treat her well, you have to treat my daughter well. It got so bad that I had to get an order of protection against the gentleman, where my daughter couldn't be around him. So that was my personal horror story. And then I've heard so many, countless stories after countless stories of young ladies who met men. And it was just like, they was like, I should have met him at the grocery store. I should have met him at what at the restaurant or something. But it was like I met his representative, and then when I met him in person, he was a totally different man. You know, and that's what I go on. And then of course the news reports you get. Like I just recently saw it was a post that this man was he was going around strangling women.
Jeez.
Very attractive young man, and just so happened this last woman. What happened was he tried to kill her, but she was able to get away. Press charges, and come to find out he killed like 2 other women. You know, so this is something that I do not recommend to any men or women.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate about your daughter, but I think there's crazies anywhere. I mean,
Of course,
you can meet a guy and date a guy or marry a guy and never really know them. And
correct.
if a person's crazy, there's a crazy. And I know that you're not necessarily for online dating, but I feel compelled to talk about both sides of it. So I'm going
Of
to be the one
course.
who's pro it, even though I'm not really pro online dating.
No problem. No
Um,
problem. But you
so
know what? It's pros and cons to everything.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. There's pros and cons. So one of the pros that are mentioned is access. Online dating provides individuals with access to many more potential partners, which I could look at that as a pro or a con.
Okay.
This is especially true for individuals interested in partners of a particular type, orientation, lifestyle. But I can look at that both ways because it's almost like going to a fruit market where there's so many different types. What do I choose from?
Right.
Also, it says something about matching. Many online dating sites offers various type of testing and matching. I personally think that's crap. So I'm looking at that. It's supposed to be a pro, but I'm looking at it the other way around because if I wanted to attract someone and I didn't want to be sincere, I'd probably fudge all the answers to make myself look more appealing. Just like people oftentimes when it's online, when they have pictures in my age bracket, they may post something 20 years younger. So any of us looked a lot different 20 years ago. So then when you
Well,
see him, it's like,
I'm posting my pictures from 3 years ago when I was something pounds lighter. So
There you go.
I
There you
do it
go.
too.
That's the whole thing. A couple. I don't mind the aging and the lines or whatever, but the pounds. That's the thing. Yeah, I do that too with the pounds. Communication. One of the pros, it says online dating offers a number of ways to get to know a potential date before meeting in person. Now you're saying that that takes away that touchy feely, those hours on the phone. I think that if I was doing online dating, wouldn't I want to be on the phone too? I mean, wouldn't that be?
Right.
I don't know. I'm. Let me see what some of the folks said here. I hope they said something about the online dating, but I haven't heard anyone say anything about the online dating. If anyone has any direct experience, particularly some good something positive, because both of us unfortunately are kind of thinking the same way. I want to hear a pro, an advocate of online dating. Tell me something good about online dating. Tell me what these statistics say. eHarmony says the data is saying that the marriage rates. Now we know how they can skew numbers. Okay, so
Correct.
they're saying that the marriage rate, the divorce rate, eHarmony, 3.86. 3.86, less than 4%. The national divorce rate, over 50%, 50% plus.
Correct.
Now
Correct.
that even if that number is played with a little bit, and I don't know how many samples, there's so many questions with that number, but that's still interesting.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
still
Well,
interesting.
Dennis, what I do family, I do individual. I'm sorry, I do couples and marriage therapy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I even see a difference between couples who met more naturally or what we have traditionally, as compared to couples who met online.
How so?
And
How so?
one, okay, well, the 100% difference is with the couples who have met online, they had higher expectations. Had
Hmm.
higher expectations because remember, I read all this information about you that seemed wonderful. You know, I read your work resume. Okay, I didn't read about how your family relationships were because remember it's online. So
Right.
you didn't talk about your mom has dementia and your dad has bipolar. I didn't read that. But if I met you naturally, we would have had a discussion about family history, you know? Then I had one couple where the husband was like, I want kids. The young lady was like, no, I don't want kids. You knew that because I put it on my post, you know?
Hmm.
So it's like things, in depth things that you should be discussing with somebody who you're getting to know and want to be in a relationship with. You sometimes miss that piece because again you went for the quick fix, as I call it. You know,
Hmm.
and that's the difference. Traditional couples who met traditional ways, they're more in tune with each other. The online dating people, they had assumptions of each other and they want things to go quicker.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
have a problem with that again because the assumptions could be wrong. I mean, what if you're filling out this form, what if you put
yeah.
something that's not exactly true there, and then if we do connect and if we get married and I've put some of these falsities on there, and then when the truth comes out, he's going to say, "But I thought this and this."
Correct.
But you can also have that when you go organically because a person can show you what they want you to see, or they modify their behavior based on how they think you want them to act. So I guess you can get it both ways.
But see, think about this, Janice. When I sit down with you in your face, there's the chemistry right there,
True.
person to person. I'm looking in your eyes. Even how I'm looking at you right now, there's a coldness because while we're on technology,
Hmm.
but imagine if I was sitting right there next to you. You can feel my vibration. I can feel your vibrations. You know, I can, if you're lying about something, I'm a body language
And you can
person.
pick it up. Yeah.
I can pick it up immediately.
Yeah.
Online, I could be sitting here like, yeah, I could be playing it off. So again, it just doesn't feel organic to me. Meeting somebody who's supposed to be a significant person in your life on my iPhone.
Okay, then let me switch this. If you're not an advocate of it, which you obviously aren't,
Correct.
how are women going to meet men, or how are men going to meet women? How are we going to connect then?
Janice, how did we do it 30 years ago? How did we do it 20 years ago? How did we do it 10 years ago? How did we do it a year ago? We meet naturally,
In the
you
grocery
know,
store,
and
at the gym.
we live in a major city, Chicago. In the summertime, you have all types
Yeah,
of
that's true.
festivals, concerts.
That's
The
true.
in thing in Chicago now is rooftop parties.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I'm
does
saying?
anybody ever? Okay, fine. If you're at a rooftop party, okay, well, maybe you're not a good example. But if a typical person is at a rooftop party, does anyone who they don't know really approach them and start talking? And do they do that?
You know what? I don't know. For me, as if I was a woman and I saw a man and he didn't approach me, that lets me know what's he about. And then if I was a woman and I was meeting somebody online, if you're more comfortable sitting on in front of your cell phone than meeting with me 101, I don't know if that's a red flag to me. You know, I, and again, I understand it's the sign of the
Hmm.
times. It's convenient. I could be at work talking to you. I can be at the gym talking to you as compared to being there. And maybe that's all fine once you're established in a relationship. But I just think you need the intimacy, especially when something is new, and the intimacy of the in person effect, you know?
Even though a lot of people work long hours, they work crazy shifts, they don't really have time to go to rooftop parties or any other kind of party. They may not have a big network of people. They may not be part of a large fraternity. So maybe they don't. Maybe this is something good for them.
And you know what? You
I
got
don't
to do
know.
what works for you.
Hmm.
But again, when I'm talking to my female friends, female family members, they meet a guy online and it's a bust. So the time that you wasted with those five guys you met online, it could be the same if you met them in person. Again, quick fixes do not work. Think about it when you were in school and you did something, whereas you did it a paper in a rush.
Hmm.
As compared to a paper that you really prepared for. You got an A on the one that you prepared for, as compared to you got a C on the rushed one. Anything you do that's worthwhile, you have to pour the time into.
And I would
Janice, we
normally
you are
agree with that,
very
Khalid, but I
inconsistent.
think women, and I'm hearing women say it all the time. Girls' night out, we're talking about this all the time. We're not meeting anybody. We're going to all the right places. We're going to these places, but we're not meeting anyone.
Then that's where the art of flirtation has to come. See,
Ah,
listen, online dating has made us lazy. Think about it. Because us men don't want to approach women
right. That's what
because
I'm
we
saying.
scared we're not a Mac anymore. I have a gift of gab, so I can talk to
That's why I
anybody.
said not
But
you.
right. But it's making us men lazy as compared to putting in the work of going by and saying, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I talk to you for a moment? Would you
Mm-hmm.
like a drink? Would you like to dance?
Mm-hmm.
Can I sit here and talk to you for a moment?" We forget that. Let me jump on my phone while I'm standing there in a nightclub.
And that happens.
Right. And then it's made women lazy because one of the beautiful things about you all is your femininity. To sit there with a nice dress on with your legs crossed so I can see how your legs look, and you give me a quick stare and bounce your hair side to side. I can't see that on dating sites. So what happens is it's a vicious cycle developing. Think about it like this. Would you want your children to meet their best friends online, or would you want them to meet their friends at school where they're interacting?
Yeah, at
Think
school.
about
At
that.
school, absolutely. Yeah.
Think about it. Think about years ago when we were in college. We sat in that classroom. Now people are in front of a laptop. So you lose out on that element of discussions. And I just see this is just it's just not right to me. And maybe I'm old fashioned. I don't know.
Maybe that's why I well. You could be, because that's definitely the wave of the future. That it
Right,
definitely is.
right.
And I'm hearing it from women of all ages, not just middle age and older women. I'm hearing it from young women. I'm hearing it from 20-some year olds, people right out of college, that they're not dating. No one's asking them to go out on a date, and they're not meeting anyone.
Because you know what, Janice, we don't require anything anymore. So, for instance, one of my buddies, good friend, but he's a player.
Oh,
He's the one who told me about the Starbucks first date trend. Now, listen to what his logic was. He said, Khalid, I meet up with these young ladies who I've met online. We go to Starbucks, okay? If everything works out fine, we'll move on to the next level, like I said earlier. But if not, I just pay for a coffee for $5. Then his next discussion with me was, Khalid, out of the last 9 dates, listen to this carefully. The last 11 dates, nine of the women I slept with later that day.
the
So
same
think
day?
about that. Right. So think about that. He went out with 11 women, nine of the women he slept with, and guess what it cost him? A $5 coffee. So if I'm a man and I can sleep with you and it only costs me $5, I'm not gonna put the work in no more. I don't have to. So on the women end, you got to set the bar a little bit higher. One thing about us men, if you set the bar low, we're going low. You set the bar high, and if we want to be with you, we'll meet you there. But if then you can't complain then. Nine women slept with him for a $5 coffee. Take that in. And the only thing he did was logged on.
On that note, because that surprised me. You kind of took me a $5 coffee and y'all smashing. But anyway,
Yes,
that kind
yes.
of surprised. Jeez, and nine of
And
them.
this is what's out here. And I have a 16-year-old who I'm warning about this. You know what I'm saying? Because then you're right, she will never find a husband. And then what's going to hurt her? She's growing up with a dad who's teaching her the right way. But then 10 other her girlfriends are doing the Starbucks thing. So my daughter is going to be looked at, you think you all that.
Yeah,
Why? Because she has a standard.
right.
Wow. Wow.
Let me read some of the comments from the audience. Let's
Sure.
see. Drew Hunter. Do you know Drew Hunter?
Yes, I do. Hey, Drew.
He said, Khaled, let her know online dating will give her more quantity, but not more quality. So it depends. Portia, hey, out of ATL. What if that was your daughter, or sister, or mother? Absolutely, absolutely. It. I just think. Hey, I see. Oh my gosh, I see a few people on here. I want to say hello to Romaine and out of Indianapolis, Cynthia Parrish. Hey, out of Michigan City, Cynthia Oda. Hey, thank you so much. I also see. I see a whole bunch from Michelle. Hey, glad you're watching. And you know Hidris Irk?
Yes. Hey, Auntie.
Oh, okay. Mary Anderson, thank you for letting us know it's coming out loud and clear. Liz Baez, I see you, brother. Desiree Benson, glad that you are tuning in. Ricky Smiley out of Indianapolis. Hey, I guess that's a Ricky out of Indianapolis. Which Ricky Smiley are you? Tell me which one you are. So thank you so much. That kind of concerned me. She should always have stand. Thank you, Mary. That's why when he said that, you could tell it kind of threw me because when he took him out for $5 coffees and he took a bunch of women. Now, how many women? 10 women out or 9 women?
He took 11.
He took 11.
Nine of them
Out of
cashed
the
in. Yes.
11, nine went to bed with him. And Mary, I agree with you wholeheartedly. They should have standards. That kind of took me. That was a surprise. When they say accessibility, I don't think they're talking about that. But
But
that's a
understand
surprise.
again, so when he said that, other men were like, wow, giving him the high five, like, man, that's all it takes.
The high five.
I-
Does he have children? Does he have sisters? Does he have?
He He has 8 children
Hey,
by 6 mothers.
okay, you don't have to say anymore. I'm. We don't have to say anymore because he may be tuning in, so we're gonna leave this alone.
So, but you understand now, by me paying attention to these stats, to hearing personal stories, my own testimony, that I think this is the most horrible thing in the world.
Oh,
Now, there's a difference. I've met wonderful people with friendships
mm-hmm.
online.
Okay.
And what happened was we grew from there. But it's different when you have an expectation of a relationship. You can be a little bit more free fall when you're just meeting people as friends. So the online thing, it has its benefits. But when it comes to a romantic relationship, warning, 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 run.
But I really think that there's a possibility that sometimes the online, if it could start off as a friendship and it could turn as a romantic. I mean, I think it could. It very well could.
Sure,
I don't know. It
sure,
could.
sure. But again, you got the number one thing I'm trying to preach right here is you got to still put the work into
Well,
it.
you got to put the work in. You have to put the work in.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
must. Let's talk about 5 of the favorite online dating websites. Let's talk about them. Now, they have a bunch of online websites. They even have some particularly for black people. They even have a website for black women who seek white men. So they I didn't know they had that. They have everything out here. They have match.com. It's match.com is the most comprehensive website when it comes to online. Has a lot of members and everyone's heard of Plenty of Fish. That's a big one. eHarmony, that's the one that gave that I don't want to say bogus statistic, but 3.86 divorce rate. They have OK Cupid and they have Zoosk. Site was recently risen quite a bit in popularity. I've never heard of that one. And for black women, they have blackcubid.com. Have you heard of that one?
Never heard of
Blackcubid.
it.
I haven't either. eHarmony.com has a section that if you just want to have a black relationship. They also have blackpeoplemeet.com. I've heard of that one. That's a pretty popular one. They also have one. It's I guess it's an acronym. It's MELD. MELD. Have you heard of that one? It's for black
No.
professionals. That's probably the one you should be on.
Okay. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so I'll stick to LinkedIn.
They have the black women seek white men.com.
Wow.
And they have justblacksingles.com. I'm getting something from Portia out of Atlanta, and she says that she knows several couples who have met and married or those that are still dating from meeting online.
Okay.
So thank you so much for that, Portia. We're not trying to bash the online scene, but both of us kind of are on the same page with that. And I'm glad you came on to tell us something positive about it. And let's see.
Well, Janice, have you heard of Ashley Madison?
Of who?
AshleyMadison.com.
No.
Okay. Well, I found this out through a friend of mine. It's an online dating place where married men go on to find mistresses. If you don't believe me, look it up. AshleyMadison.com.
Oh, that's the one that was involved with a lawsuit. If I'm not mistaken, they had some kind of court case with Ashley Madison because someone was giving all the names of all these high-profile men. I think that's the one. Do they have one of those sites for married women who are trying to find men on the side?
It's on Facebook.
Wait, no. But seriously, this site, are you saying it's dedicated to married men who want a mistress?
Yes. In fact,
I think that's
a
the one
who was a mistress on there.
What did you say?
My friend's friend was a mistress on there. She became a mistress on there and was dating a married man.
And did he pay all of her bills?
He sure did, from what it sounded like, because it was understood. You're on here for this type of companionship. I don't ask no questions. I don't rock the boat. It's understood that I am your mistress.
And you take care of me.
And you take care of me.
So these are men of means, I imagine, not
Yeah,
ones paying $5 to
professional
smash.
men.
Okay. Oh, Donald Trump Jr. Wait, someone just put something. Oh my gosh. I'm going to look that up. You know I'm going to look that up.
Okay.
So we are going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back and talk about the benefits, the pros and the cons on online dating. You're
Okay.
listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. For those of you that are still on, give me some likes, give me some hearts, give me some likes, give me some hearts. We'll be right back. For those just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. And next to me, you're looking at this handsome Dr. Khalid Scott. Thank you so much for being the expert on online dating. Can you believe we only have like a minute left? Time is up already. I know.
Wow.
I
Wow.
said, wait, I meant to take a break mid-time, and I said, okay, we probably got 20 minutes left.
Oh, it's getting juicy, baby. We couldn't
And
stop.
we only, wait, we didn't even get into it. And I still want to have that show about relationships, the way men feel, the way women feel that we talked about before. And now with
Right.
this split screen, for those doctors who see patients and can't get to the west suburbs, maybe this is good for us to have
Perfect.
our little
Perfect.
6 o'clock shows like this. The guest is Dr. Khalid Scott. He's a sociologist. I don't have his bio. It's about 3 pages. Khalid Scott. Yeah, he's awesome. He used to be on here several months ago, but then he abandoned Voices of Change, and we're just so glad that he came back. So thank you,
Nice.
thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming back. And I'm going to have you back here too. I don't know when your schedule
Okay.
is going to change, but I'll definitely have to have you back because
Absolutely.
we touched on things that everyone would want to know, particularly Black women, about relationships. And there is such a gap. There's such a difference the way men feel versus the way women feel. And when you're telling me about
Yes.
that $5 coffee, that's like burnt on my brain.
But if you think about it, I mean, going to Starbucks the next time and you probably can look around and see how many first daters are in there, you
I never
know?
noticed.
Because
You're always
here,
running when you go in
well,
Starbucks. It's like, okay, you're running. I never look.
yeah, yeah. And
Well,
again, did you hear what you just said? It's quick.
yeah,
It's quick.
it is. I run
It's
in there
cold.
and
It's not intimate in Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? So again, going on a first date is supposed to be you in an intimate restaurant. You sitting there having a meal, laughing, talking, getting to know each other. That art is disappearing on us, and we got to get it back.
we do have to get it back because we're definitely losing something and we're kind of losing something with each other. So
Yes.
I think that's important. So I'm going to book you for that next show within the next couple of weeks. Believe
Good.
that. So I'll be getting in touch with you again. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the listeners and thank you for all your comments. I want to see some more likes before we go off. I want everyone to have a good week. Tune in next week at 6 p.m. It promises to be another good show. We'll have Dr. Scott back here really soon. Have a blessed week. Good night.